Right, so I'm backstage with Troy Redfern. That was a magnificent set.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
One man takes to the stage and holds the audience in the palm of his hand. And you know how you can tell how few people had their phones out?
Right.
No, nobody had the phones out. Well,
Right.
very few.
Yeah.
And everybody's hands are going, heads are going, and the feet go.
Yeah.
Brilliant performance.
Thank you, man. Thank you. It's, you know, as you probably know, I'm normally a three-piece player.
Yes.
I'm normally playing a band, so I've done a few runs solo, but it's been a while, so this is sort of, it feels very new and fresh for me.
Well, your mantra that I came across: live an organised and manageable day life, so you can be extreme and creative in your work.
I think that was Edgar Varese who said that. Yeah. But I loved it when I heard that. Was it Varese or Stravinsky? It was one of those two composers, and I heard it by Zappa. You know, you know, you need to. You know, if you're writing material and you know you want to keep things moving and you want to be creative, but then when it comes to performance. See, with Phillip, who's playing now, you know, what attracted me to him was the raw, visceral, even spiritual kind of thing that he connects with, and I think that's why people connect with him because of that. And so that's what's always interested me in music. It's, you know, and that's what I try and do. I try and switch off, and it happened a couple of times tonight where thought stops. And it's not like you're playing, and that's what I'm trying to. That's always what I'm trying to get to. Is that point? You know, sometimes it's hard because you know you think you're in your head. But yeah, that's what I, you know. I'm quite selfish in the way that I kind of play for myself to feel that.
It's a big couple of months coming up because you got the new album.
Yeah.
Invocation. Now, this is a really interesting title because the word means. It's like a calling to a higher power for some sort of message or assistance. So what's the story here behind Invocation?
Because I think I do that before I go on stage. You know, I kind of, you know, whether it be, you know, that sort of like maybe a bit, you know, sort of like too sort of close to the bone. But I do that because I want that kind of feeling, that kind of vibe of it not being me. I want to get myself completely out of the way of my playing and be connected to whatever it is that comes faster than the speed of thought. Because when you're playing, like for tonight, I haven't rehearsed. I know the songs, I know the lyrics, I know the structure, but the rest of it I don't. So I'm in front of a large audience like tonight. It's quite a sold out audience, not knowing what I'm doing and trusting that it will happen. And that's kind of a very funny place because, you know, when I'm driving down here, I'm thinking, you know, geez, you know, half of me's thinking, but then it's the trusting yourself that it's there, and when it comes time to do it, that you won't fail. You know,
because you can overthink. You can overthink. You can worry. You stress, and then that's where the errors come.
You just got to trust that you know you've put all the years in, and it's there, and all those. And what's good about playing solo, which I sometimes forget and have to kind of remind myself, is that you can go anywhere. You can take it, you know, take the dynamic down. You can bring it up. You can make it atmospheric. You can make it raw and heavy. You've got complete control in the moment of doing any of those things, and it's trusting that you know that your instincts will tell you which way to go.
Last album you recorded in pretty much a month. I mean, it was done start to finish very quickly. This time, I mean, you've said that. You know, we've upped the game on every aspect. You've given yourself more creative freedom to explore things. So were you being sort of held back before this?
No, I think we just hit the groove on the Wings of Salvation, and that process was scarily fast and very odd in that kind of way that normally when I've written stuff in the past, I've kind of structured it myself on the computer when I'm working in my little studio, or I've got phone ideas and I've got fragments of things. With Wings of Salvation, it was a clean slate. I didn't go back and look for ideas. It was just like, okay, we're starting here. And I worked with Dave Marks, the producer, and between us, it was just unbelievably fast. So when I went to do this new album, I thought, well, I think I'll work with Dave again, because that team of people, Joe Webb mixing, him producing, and Paul Stewart playing drums, it just seemed like a combination that worked. And I think the flow of the songs, the ideas, and because when I write songs, I do it in the same way that I improvise guitar.
Yeah.
So I'll have a guitar with me. I'll just start playing and start improvising melodies, vocal melodies, and whatever comes through, you can feel when it's right, and they generally come through quite quickly. And I think that happened, and just so the songs that came through just felt right immediately. And again, that was probably only 6 weeks with this new one. We took a little bit more time, and that was only because Dave had a schedule and he had other things in it that conflicted slightly with timeline. But it would have been again a quick album, and it's great. It's trying to capture essences of songs and get them recorded as quickly as possible without too much overproduction or overthinking, like you said. Because you can do the same in the song world. You can do that, and then you record it, and then you sit back from it. And it took me a good month to go back to it. I left it alone and went back and listened, and I could listen like someone who wasn't involved with the process again. And I was really pleased that these things had sort of were so different and yet not contrived. You're almost like, where did that come from? Where did that idea come? And that's great. That's what I'm all about, that kind of thing. And that's where Invocation, I think, as well ties into that. That whole.
Can we expect surprises? Can we expect something that is different from that has gone before?
Yeah.
I know you played a couple of tracks out there tonight, which sounded quite markedly different.
Well, Get Away, the new single, is kind of more straightforward rock and roll. It's kind of it's got hat tips to things that I was interested in when I was 13, 14. When I was growing up in the 80s. And so it's got that, because I love that. I've got a soft spot for that sort of. So there are those influences in there. The Native that I played tonight has a more of a tribal kind of vibe going on. So it's definitely on the recording. It's more vibey. There's a song on there called Blind Me that's very much sort of almost country, which I'm not a country fan, but it's kind of it's very
in vogue at the moment, isn't it? Sort of like Americana, country, roots rock.
Yeah. But that one it just came out on the chord progression and the vocal, and I sort of ran with that. But it's not sickly country, it's more. I don't know, but it's got tinges of that. But there are different elements, probably the next one of the next records I want to make is a complete departure from the song structure.
It's not a Christmas album, is it?
No. But this may be down the road. It may be a side project. But I've got a very keen interest in things like Zappa, that kind of whole world of music. And I've released an album called Thunder Moon on Bandcamp quietly during lockdown, and it's all instrumental, and there's definitely ideas there that are completely left field from anything I've done, and I'd love to explore that.
Because your influences, I know when people ask this favourite question, it's the same names, isn't it? Trotted out. Hendrix changed my life and whatever. But there's classical in yours. Stravinsky, Debussy, two composers I've seen you mention before.
Yeah.
So there's more influencing you than just what we would expect.
100%. Yeah. What I listen to for pleasure in the car would not be expected. Obviously I love blues and I love blues rock, but that's just one piece of a puzzle, and I wouldn't want to stay there. It's like eating the same meal every day. I wouldn't want to do that. And I think the beauty and the complexity of some classical composers that interests me. And again, we go back to Zappa. Rhythmic complexity has always fascinated me, and that guy is just the master of. Well, like he took from Stravinsky and a lot of those guys, and Edgar Varese, and that's probably why I went down that route really. But I've always been fascinated with that. Time signatures on the last album, I delve into that. But on Thunder Moon, there's lots of time signature music, because I just.
So could you take that now and not quietly release it into a noisy environment?
It depends what it's a tricky thing, because if you want people to listen to your music or know who you are, and I've been around a while, but I'm still kind of on the fringes. You have to have music that is going to get played, that's kind of like within a framework to be accepted.
Absolutely, yeah.
I could easily sort of go down the route of making it avant-garde, sort of strange music, but who would hear it? You know, who would who would listen? You know, but there again, you know, it's that kind of thing. You know, should that be the? I'm asking myself. You know, it's just like rhetorical. You know, should you make music for a consumer, or should it be just art? You know, and
well, if you were in the '60s and early, then it would definitely.
Yeah.
You do it for the art.
Yeah,
you do
yeah.
it for the, no,
Yeah.
I mean, there has to be an economic into it, otherwise there would be no
Yeah.
musicians and
Yeah,
there would
yeah.
be no music.
Yeah.
End of story.
Yeah.
But the other thing that interests me about you is you have a hand in the whole package. You nearly went to art school. It was your parents that didn't want you to go to art school, wasn't it?
It was unfortunate. You know, I left school at a time when not many people went to university in the sort of 80s. You know, it was kind of like, it was like, you know, just a handful of people, and or you know, college. And I got 3 older brothers who were kind of 10 years older than me, and they'd left home and got jobs and worked. So when it came my turn to sort of, you know, finish school, I wanted to go to art college, and at the time it was like the big goth thing. So you'd see people in the local city with the big hair.
Yeah.
So my parents associated art college with goths and drugs. So it was a no.
But
I've
the
always-
talent. I mean, the talent is unbelievable, because I don't know how many people know who are watching this that you actually design, and you do the whole thing with the album covers, which are almost like individual works of art. And not only that, it's the merchandise as well that you're designing, because you have a clothing company, don't you?
Yes, yeah.
So you know you're doing the whole thing.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because I did a short stint as an apprentice, as a tattooist apprentice, back in around 2000, and so I've always carried on sort of drawing a bit, but not much. But as I've got older, without practicing, things have become easier, and I don't know why that is. Whether my eyes got better over time, just with age, you know, I don't know. So I'm as surprised as, you know, while I'm doing this stuff that I can do it, you know. So and I'm pleased it's something that, because it's a part of me that didn't get a chance to kind of get developed, then I can incorporate it into what I'm doing now, you know. And
the merchandise is a big thing, because I know that you take care about the way the items are produced and the quality of the items, and you're using organic cotton.
Yeah.
You want it's not like those nights where we used to come out of the big venues, buy the t-shirt off the guy for a tenner because you didn't want to pay 50 quid for one, and then it shrunk within a week. But you're all about creating, you know, good quality. Yeah, not only music, album covers, art, and the merchandise as well. Yeah,
but you know, it rests on my shoulders. You know, I'm not signed. You know, it's a cottage industry, and I want it to be as good as it possibly can. You know, because it's happening now. There's not time to kind of develop that or get that better in the future. It needs to be the time that it's kind of working.
I'm sitting there, I'm listening to you, and I look at your album covers and look at the merchandise and watch you play live, and you're thinking, well, what else do you need to do in order to be signed?
Well, a label approached me probably 4 months ago from the States, but they wanted to package up a kind of like an introduction to album, taking tracks from my other work, you know, and putting it together as an album. And I just finished this album. I just put money into it myself, so I spent thousands making the new album. Which was hard to get that money together. So you know, it was a labour of love, and it was expensive, and just on me. So when someone wanted to take that and put it, you know, just take a couple of tracks from that, and I was like, well, you know, I need to put this out as a piece of work. So maybe I will go, you know, but it's difficult with signing, you know, because doing it by yourself, you do recoup and you do make money eventually, but it's hard. If you go with the label, they're putting money up front, so that money has to be recouped before you get anything. It's hard. So you know, I think these days, but the one thing about, you know, doing it yourself, you know, you have some degree of control of what you want to put out. Maybe I don't know. I don't think there's pros and cons both ways. You know, I think maybe you'll get more visibility with the label, that they can maybe help with that. But it's not like the old days. It's not like the 80s where you suddenly get a huge advance.
£1 million.
Yeah. So that's not going to happen. So you know, and they certainly wouldn't be interested in the album I'd like to create. You know, and I will make that album. If someone said to me, you've got 2 years left to live. You know, what do you want to leave? What body of work do you want to leave behind? I know the album I want to make, and you know, I've not made it, but you know, it's kind of germinating. So I need to do that, and I need to do it fairly soon. You know.
And listen, you are the only person I think I know, actually, certainly in this country, that has their own line of hats.
Right.
Vera Black you work with Vera Black to design things. You have the Troy Redfern Gambler.
I do. I'm not wearing it at the moment, but yeah, I do have that. She's great. You know, Vera makes amazing products. You know, and she's a lovely person. And Luke, her husband. So yeah, if you're looking for really good quality,
she has got a fabulous website.
She has. Yeah. She's great. You know, and they do really well. They do a lot of the festivals. You know, sort of all the major festivals they're at. So it's great how they've done that, you know.
Brilliant. So new album is coming early part of next year. When are you back out on the road again? Because I don't imagine it will be long.
We've got a tour that's been locked in for middle of next year. So that'll be
UK based.
A UK based tour. It's co-headline. I can't announce who the other person is yet because the tour hasn't been announced.
Right.
But that'll be a good one, and it's probably.
So you're Jared again.
12-13 days. Say again.
You're Jared.
yeah.
or of course, when rivers meet.
Not with those guys again. No, this is a co-headline. So what we do is, what I went out with the comment is, we'll kind of swap each night who goes on last. But it'll be, it's going to be a good one, and can't wait to get out there again and do a full set with the band.
Excellent. Yeah. Thank you very much. Great show tonight.
Thank you.
Looking forward to the album Invocation, which is out in February. Troy Redfern, everybody. If you haven't got a ticket, there are still a couple left for this run of this tour, and it's well worth the time of that.